Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I have a first impressions on the new L'Oreal Infallible Total Cover Foundation. I actually got sent the foundation before it was released. It is now available, but I tried it once before, but the shade was really wrong. So now that I got my right shade, I figured I would sit down and do a first impressions for you guys. I have this foundation on right now. I'm currently using the shade 305. So this is the third addition to the Infallible foundation line from L'Oreal. They have the L'Oreal Pro Matte Infallible, and then they have the Infallible Pro Glow. I do own almost every shade in both of these foundations. I do love these foundations so much. The Pro Matte Infallible is like one of my favorite foundations of all time. I use the shade 104 in this one. Since I do love the L'Oreal Pro Matte Infallible so much, it's like one of my favorite foundations of all time. I had really high expectations for this one, and even though I have normal to dry skin, I love a matte full coverage foundation. The other two foundations in this line are actually pretty full coverage to me, so when they actually came out with one that's marketed as a full coverage, total coverage foundation, I had to get my hands on it. So on the back of this foundation it says weightless full coverage, the finish is natural, the wear time is up to 24 hours, which the other two claim to be 24-hour wear as well, high coverage and an air light texture. It says Pro Face and Body Foundation, ultra lightweight, seamless coverage, and it also says you can use this everywhere, your face, your neck, your arms, and your legs, to cover up imperfections and even the skin tone. I was able to find this foundation at Bed Bath & Beyond about 2 weeks ago, I want to say, but I just checked and Ulta.com is carrying the foundation already. It retails for $12.99 and you get 1.0 fluid ounce. They did change the nozzle on the new one. The applicator is a lot thinner than the older one, so the new one is taller and thinner in size. This foundation is available in 12 shades and I was only able to get my hands on 5. I did find that a lot of the foundation colors kind of ran a little bit gray, a little bit more on the cool side, whereas the L'Oreal Pro Matte Infallible runs more on the yellow side, and so does the Pro Glow. I do have to say I like the foundation shades better in the other two foundations, but this 305 actually ended up matching really well once I finished my makeup, put my powders, and it kind of just settled into the skin. But at first it was looking a little bit gray. So I'm going to go ahead and insert the clip right now of the foundation swatches. You do have to work really quickly when blending this foundation out because it dries pretty fast because it is like a moussey texture. It also kind of accentuated my pores, even though I used a pore minimizing primer in my more porous area, which is around my nose. It still kind of clumped up there and kind of accentuated my pores and looked a little bit dry around my nose. But a lot of foundations tend to do that. The nose is such a tricky area to apply foundation to. I did exfoliate yesterday and I did hydrate my skin before applying this foundation, so that definitely helped. Last time I put this foundation on when it was the wrong shade, it looked a lot drier, and that's because I wasn't really prepping my skin that time. So definitely prep your skin with this foundation and exfoliate the day before. Use hydrating primers if you're dry, and definitely make sure to use a pore minimizing primer. So I'm going to go ahead and wear this foundation for the whole day. I'm going to jump into the demonstration and I'll be checking in throughout the day to let you guys know how the foundation is holding up, if it oxidizes, how it looks in different lighting and natural lighting. So let's go ahead and jump right into the demo. On the right side of my face, I'm going to be using the L'Oreal Blend Artist Infallible Foundation Blender. And just to see if this is a good dupe for the Beauty Blender, I am going to use the Beauty Blender on the left side of my face. I want to see how it compares. So I went ahead and applied my primer. I used the Laura Mercier Hydrating Primer on the whole perimeter of my face, and then I used the Optical Illusion Primer by Urban Decay just in the center of my face where I have larger pores. Now with any foundation, I always use a primer. I would never really skip primer, so I already went ahead and did that. And I'm going to go ahead and try out shade 305. Let me zoom you guys in. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do this side of my face. No foundation, foundation. This L'Oreal sponge actually has a really good bounce to it, and I didn't think I liked the shape of it, but I actually do because it makes it really easy to hold on to. I've seen some beauty blenders kind of turn into this shape because when you hold it really tightly and you're really blending and you're squeezing with your fingers, it kind of indents like this. So I actually think this is really comfortable. I feel like if this side of the sponge was a little bit thinner, I would have liked it even better. Although it is comfortable to hold like this. To do concealer, I think this is just a little bit too thick on this end. So I don't know if you guys can tell on camera, but it did kind of accentuate my pores right around here, around my nose. And it almost like didn't want to stick to my nose. and I feel like in more porous areas it just kind of clumps up a little bit or accentuates the pores. So let's use the beauty blender now. It's kind of moussey, so at first it's kind of weird to blend out, but once you do blend it out and it gets like warmed up on the skin, it does blend into like a regular kind of like cream foundation. But at first it's definitely strange if you're not used to using like moussey whipped foundations. I do kind of like the beauty blender side a little bit more. I feel like this side looks more matte, but I feel like this one just looks more even and just smoother for some reason. So I'm gonna have to go with the beauty blender. Although I did really like this sponge. I think it's a great dupe for the price especially. I just prefer the finish when I use the beauty blender because it just looks more even. The foundation just looks more pushed into the skin. The beauty blender side also kind of accentuated my pores, but not as much as with the L'Oreal sponge. But again, I do think this is a great value sponge and it's a great dupe. This one kind of reminds me of the Real Techniques, like the feeling of it, where this one is more air-like when you squeeze it, where this one is a lot thicker inside. So this one reminds me of the Real Techniques one, and I think this one and the Real Techniques are great alternatives to the beauty blender. This one actually has some bounce to it and I love the color. I'd have to see if this one bleeds though when I wash it, so I'll keep you guys updated on that. The only downside right now that I'm seeing is that it accentuated my pores, but other than that I think the foundation looks really even. So I'm gonna go ahead and apply the rest of my makeup and I'll be right back. So I just finished my makeup. I didn't apply liquid liner or lashes. I'm not really doing anything crazy today, so I went with my natural, like no makeup. But I did apply a darker lip just because I felt like without it I was just a little too plain. The makeup went on really nicely. I did set my face a little bit with powder because I can never really contour bronze if I don't powder my face. So I did use a little bit of the Giorgio Armani Luminous Compact Foundation, but that's super lightweight. I find that the Armani powder doesn't really mess with a foundation's formula. It doesn't really mess with the texture, but I did feel a little bit sticky, so I did go ahead and set my face. But everything else went on really smoothly. I will say my nose, like I was trying to contour it, but it was just kind of really patchy. So I feel like in general the foundation just wasn't applying nicely on my nose, which I find is really common. Most foundations don't apply nicely on the nose area. Just foundations tend to just kind of either not stick to the nose or they just clump up on the nose. So I feel like the nose region is kind of like a difficult area to get a foundation to look nice with. It could have just been that I really didn't exfoliate my nose well enough, or it could be the foundation because like I said, some foundations just don't smooth over nicely on the nose. But in general the foundation looks flawless. It doesn't look cakey. Once I set the areas near my nose with powder, I feel like the pores were covered a little bit better, so they don't look too large. If you don't set this foundation, it will leave kind of like a sticky feeling, and I feel like the pores are more visible. So I feel like with this foundation you do want to set it, even if it's with a light layer of a really light powder. I just feel like any foundation should be set. I have dry skin and I still set my foundation. One, it's gonna last longer, and two, you're gonna just get a more even, softer, smoother look depending on what powder you use. When you first apply this foundation, it's very moussey and it seems really dry, but once I put the rest of my makeup on, it doesn't look dry or too matte. I feel like my L'Oreal Pro Matte Infallible is a lot more matte than this one. We'll see if the foundation gets any drier or if any of like my dry patches kind of like flare up, because it is quite cold outside. There's like no moisture in the air. I'm definitely not going to be sweating today because it is winter time here in New York, but I will be running around, eating, you know, just going about my day. So I'll wear this as long as I can. I'll do some check-ins throughout the day as well. The first time I tried this foundation, I'm going to be honest, I was not feeling it, and it could be because the color was just really off. So I went ahead and applied something else over it and it just was a hot mess. But I will say that when I took pictures that day, even though I was feeling like a hot mess, a lot of you guys liked how my skin looked. So I have to say that right now, first impression is I'm really enjoying it. The application process, not so much. You really have to blend quickly, but in the end, I think it looks great. So I'm going to wear this foundation for about 12 hours. I'm going to be doing check-ins throughout the day and of course a final check-in at the end of the day, but so far so good. I'm really liking it. I'm gonna go ahead and change, go about my day, run some errands, and I'll check in with you guys. So I'm just checking in. It's been about 3.5 hours. Foundation still looks really good. I got some lipstick down here, so I kind of rubbed it off. The foundation doesn't look dry, it didn't like patch up anywhere, and it doesn't feel sticky, it doesn't feel weird. It doesn't really feel like I have foundation on. It kind of feels like normal, like I can move my face. So far so good. So it's been 8 hours. I have not touched up my makeup at all. We were running around the city like mad women. My mom and I were shopping and running around and walking a lot. I actually was sweating. I know earlier I said I wouldn't be sweating, but I totally was. I was trying out a new mascara on my lower lashes, and they did kind of transfer just a little bit right here. The foundation is definitely looking worn right now. I mean, it's still on, especially where I have bronzer and blush. But right around here, like around my nose, it is kind of wearing off. And especially like on my chin, because my coat was kind of up in that region and I kept touching my nose, and there was like a hair on my nose, so I kind of touched it. So once I touched my nose in Sephora, I saw the foundation just kind of came off, which I guess most foundations will. The only ones that I know that probably won't are like Estee Lauder Double Wear and the L'Oreal Pro Matte, but even if you rub those hard enough, they'll also come off. I have a little bit of shininess on my nose and on my forehead. Again, I was running around, sweating, moving, touching my face, just like it was crazy in Manhattan. But for the most part, so far so good. I did take some pictures with flash and there was no flashback, so that's definitely a plus. In general, the foundation looks really good in pictures. I took a picture from far with my mom by the tree at Rockefeller Center, and it looked really good. It looked really smooth. So it photographs really nicely. It looks really good on camera. The only thing is when I look up close in a close-up mirror, I can see just like the foundation looking, you know, worn, which most foundations will. I don't know really a foundation is gonna stay exactly the same for 8 hours in a close-up mirror without any touch-ups. I mean, that's kind of crazy. So it is looking a little bit worn, but nothing unbearable. And although the foundation is lightweight, I do have this feeling of like wanting to remove my makeup, but that's just me. Like as soon as I get home from like shopping and running errands and running around and walking 40 blocks, like I kind of want to just take my makeup off, but I'm gonna hold it on. I'm actually gonna finish up editing my vlog, so that's probably gonna be taking up my time for the next 2 hours, and then I'll do my final check-in and my last impressions. But so far so good. So far so good. So I'm back. It's been 12 long hours. I feel like ripping my makeup off. And it's not just the foundation, but just in general. Like when I'm home and I'm editing, like I hate to have makeup on, but I kind of feel oily, which is weird. And I actually look oily, which is the strangest thing because I don't really have oily skin. I am feeling a little bit of grease in this area, but I didn't touch up. So for 12 hours, I mean, that's pretty good. So I'm just gonna apply a little bit of powder so I can finish this video because I'm feeling like ripping this off. Can you believe that I've had the same lip on? I mean, I did apply a little bit more on top, but I didn't even remove it. So I'm dying to rip it off. I have dry skin. It was really cold outside today and I still got oily. So if you're gonna use this foundation for over, I would say about 5-6 hours, because that's when I started noticing the oiliness, then definitely bring some, you know, blotting sheets or some powder with you, or just anything to kind of touch up with. I asked my mom what she thought on the foundation when we were out and about in natural lighting, and she said it looked really natural. She said it was my perfect color. She said it didn't look cakey. It didn't look like too much, so that's always a good thing. But then again, moms are always on your side, but she would tell me the truth, and I really felt like it was looking really good up until like the 7-hour mark. That's when I started feeling a little bit like I want to take this off, which I don't really get that feeling with the L'Oreal Pro Matte Infallible. I feel like that one is a lot more long wearing because it is so matte, but that one can cause a little bit more dryness, where this one really didn't cling on to dry spots. It did accentuate my pores, but it really didn't cling to dry spots on me personally. Again, I did exfoliate yesterday, so that has a lot to do with it, but overall I would give this foundation a try if you're not really into the matte look that the Pro Matte Infallible gives, or you're not into the dewy finish that the Pro Glow gives. I feel like this one is just right in between. If you like a natural finish, then go for this one, but make sure to exfoliate. But to be honest, I'm probably going to be reaching for my Pro Matte Infallible more than this one. And that's just because the Pro Matte Infallible is my baby. I love it so much. I love it more than the Pro Glow. Like, it's just one of my favorite foundations of all time. But this one is definitely worth trying. Again, I'm shade 305, and I will leave any other information down below in the description bar. So what do you guys think? I mean, I did apply a little bit of powder right now, but not bad. Not bad at all. Let me know if you guys are planning on getting this. Have you tried it already? What are your thoughts? Do you like it? Do you not? Are you intrigued? Are you interested? I would like to know. And as far as the sponge, I do like it. I think it's a great dupe, but I did prefer my Beauty Blender. Just saying. So that pretty much wraps up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys.